Hello everyone. Regular viewers will be aware that I like to promote a sense of calm when you're looking at the news. That's because the modern news is really designed to wind you up, and if you can be emotionally perturbed, you can be easily manipulated, miss certain truths because you wound up, step on landmines and fall in trapdoors, and so on. However, I dare say it's time to don our spiritual armour because we're all going to be tested today by the final boss of winding people up in the most crude and cheap ways and pretending it's somehow some act of genius intellect. I'm speaking, of course, of Mehdi Hasan. British viewers will no doubt be aware of this guy, and Americans too, watching, unfortunately, will probably be aware of who he is now as well. Now, I'm sorry, dear friends, that I can't show you some clips of Mehdi Hasan. It's just too early in the morning, and he's just too unbearable. I can't file through them, finding the most annoying ones. But to give you an idea of his argumentation style, it's something like, what do you mean by that? Oh, you're pro-slavery, are you? Oh, you want to kill people en masse? Oh, very racist. Are you actually pro-racism? Oh, sorry, I think you are. And it's pretty much like that for an hour in every debate and interview he's in. It's essentially a pointless and a painful watch. It's just a bit of fart sniffing for the liberal masses. There's no desire to truly understand what the other person is saying. The aim is simply to make them look evil and yourself look moral and noble via cheap gotchas, innuendo, moral posturing, and truculence. As I've said before, there's simply no point in engaging with people like this. They're best ignored. They're only there to try and wind you up. There is no intellectual exchange, no honesty in the debate, but they still act like they're somehow intellectual masters of the art of conversation. Which is why Mehdi Hasan wrote a book called Win Every Argument, The Art of Debating. As if the point of debating is simply to win. I mean, it shows this guy's mentality. The idea of debating in a cohesive society is to try and help yourself and others learn the truth, not just to win. And this is what makes him so annoying. His worldview is clearly one of self-centered solipsism where he's eternally correct all of the time, but then he looks down on other people as moral reprobates when they disagree with him. But again, that's the whole thing of his narrative and shtick. It's how he wins the argument. Now, the reason I'm speaking about Mehdi Hasan is he's made a name for himself in America these days. He hosts a show over there where it's his job to wind people up and lecture them or something like that, which goes to show if you're good at arguing and can embrace that sort of thing, you can earn millions in this world. Problem is, of course, most people just don't want that drama in their lives. I mean, I know I don't. I prefer to just be left alone, but people like Mehdi thrive on it. They love the argument and will say the most subversive things to wind people up, and then so they can point the finger at them and call them evil and twisted and racist and so on. And to give you an example of what he's like, this is something he posted on Twitter the other day, which obviously wound a lot of people up, and then he did his whole shtick of you're evil and racist, as we'll see. So he states, 1 in 3 of the slaves who built this country, he means America, were Muslims. They were here long before the Walsh family, that's with regards to the political commentator Matt Walsh. You'd know that if you'd studied history, but I know MAGA has an issue with studying. Oh, and I am guessing you don't count slaves as people or Americans. Now you can see what I mean about how difficult and subversive someone like Mehdi Hasan is, and the Americans are now getting a flavour of what we in Britain have had to deal with people like Hasan for decades. I mean, they're absolute savages. I mean, can you imagine if Mehdi Hasan heard me call him a savage? It would be, oh, you think I'm a savage, racially inferior to you? Oh, you're a bigot, are you? Ooh, and you'd be like, no, I just mean your behaviour is savage. Oh, don't backtrack now, bigot. Oh, scared of being a bigot, are we? God, if I ever cross the guy, I just have to say, look, mate, sorry, I just need some time away from you in a dark, quiet room so my soul can recharge. That's a long, long way from wherever you are. But anyway, addressing his claims here, the first one that 1 in 3 slaves who built the country were Muslims is contentious. However, if they were, why were they Muslims in the first place, Mehdi? Were the Africans playing hopscotch with the Mohammedan armies, maybe? And then the evil Europeans turned up? No, I think the Islamic slave trade got there first and was trading Africans long before the Europeans and long after. Now, given this, that he uses it as a basis to say therefore America is more Muslim than it is Christian just shows the intellectual honesty of the man. Further still, slaves didn't build America. I don't know where this myth came from. We all agree that chattel slavery was a great sin and was mass indentured servitude, but the idea that this built the infrastructure of America, the political systems, the social systems, the media and so on, is a complete myth. In reality, these things were built by the Europeans, especially the British. So when Mehdi, who's been in America 5 minutes, goes for someone like Matt Walsh, who clearly has a British surname and a family line going right back, it's especially obnoxious to say that Muslims have got a deeper heritage in America than he has. So Hasan is clearly busy at work here trying to deracinate someone like Matt Walsh from his own heritage, and while this is a deeply immoral thing to do, he covers his own tracks with his final statement, "I'm guessing you don't count slaves as people or Americans," in order to try and paint him as the evil bad guy here. And of course, this isn't even intellectual debate. It's not even argumentation. It's loonish behaviour. He should have called his book How to Act Like a BPD Gin-Addicted Wife. The sort of woman who you come home and she's chopped your clothes in half and says, "I'm gonna fuck all your friends." And then you finally have had enough and say, "Would you just shut the F up?" And she says, "Oh, you're mad, a toxic male. Look at all the anger flowing out of you. You need to do some work on yourself." I mean, Hasan's style is basically just that, saying extremely subversive and cruel things, and when people get wound up in response, he says, "Look, it's proof you are an angry, toxic bigot." But of course, we've had this for the last decade. If they wind you up, they say you've got white rage. If you say they're being unfair, you've got white fragility. The only way you can communicate with these people is to accept everything they say all of the time, otherwise you're an evil bigot. As I say, it's easiest just to not engage with them at all. There is no point. However, poor old Matt Walsh took the bait here and made some perfectly rational points about how America wasn't built by slaves, how every Muslim country on the planet had slavery, and also, most importantly, how Mehdi Hasan has been in America 5 minutes and is already lecturing the Americans on who they are. I mean, Mehdi Hasan is an upgrade on that meme of an Indian who comes to the Western world and states, "Allow me to explain your country's identity to you and how it includes me." He says, "This is actually my country and I'm going to tell you why you're not welcome here." And do we even need to look at Mehdi's response to see how obnoxious and crude it is? Let's have a little look. He says in response to Matt's points, "I had a suspicion your response would be, hey, slavery wasn't so bad. Also, there are no railroads without slaves," yeah, debatable. "No White House or Capitol without slaves," again, very debatable. "Happy to educate you on your, actually, our history. Muslims helped build this country long before the Walshes." I told you this guy was frickin' annoying, didn't I? I mean, he's so frustrating they should put him in some Shaolin temple as the final boss for the monks, and if they can overcome him, they've clearly reached enlightenment. "Oh, well done, initiate. You have overcome the most annoying man of all time. Mehdi Hasan, enlightenment is yours." And this is why, when you looked over Twitter yesterday, all these poor Americans making the valid point, why on earth are you here, Mehdi, if you constantly say America is evil and Islamophobic? Just go home. Why do you even want to be here? It's a question us back home have asked for decades, but have eventually figured out the truth. These people don't even really mean what they say most of the time. They're just trying to wind you up. They're a human bioweapon. They're designed to go off like an atomic bomb and completely restructure your country. I mean, Hasan's been there 5 minutes, but listen here to his fake American accent to try and show he's just as American as apple pie.
I think that if you can play church bells, you can pray the call to prayer. We are as American as anyone else, and don't take any BS from anyone.
Yeah, just as American as anybody else when you want to have the call to prayer at 4 a.m. in the morning across America. I'm sure that will go down well with the heartlands. But again, as I say, it's not meant to go down well. It's meant to wind up normal Americans so he can point the finger at them and say, "Oh, look at these angry, evil racists." The same dynamic is at play in this clip, which was going semi-viral yesterday. It's a drone shot over London during Diwali, and these are all Diwali celebrations, but many people pointed out it looks like a war zone over London, and it's almost a sign of us being conquered. To which this person, a Hindutva knight, stated, "Reverse colonisation is so beautiful." Now, again, if we suggest that what's happening with mass immigration in the modern Western world is tantamount to a colonisation, we're liable to have our doors knocked in at 3 a.m. in the morning, be whisked away in a riot van, and then thrown in a jail for 24 hours, not knowing what's going on, before being questioned by some midwit officers who also don't know what's going on about our political views. Yet when Hindutva Knight actually revels in a colonisation, do you think that she's going to have her door knocked in at 3 a.m. and be questioned by the police? Of course not, because she's in the favour of the liberal regime. But the core point I'm making in this video is how much longer can this seriously go on? These people are so subversive when they land in a new country. They have such a lack of respect. It's almost as if they spit on the flag as soon as they land. And back in Blighty, here's MP Zara Sultana. She states, don't just abolish Prince Andrew's titles, abolish the monarchy. I mean, her family's been here, what, 1, 2 generations? 3 max? I mean, as I've said before, my maternal line goes back to the Anglos with a dash of Viking, but my paternal line is very Norman, which means some of the Anglo purists of today are saying, well, boys, we got ourselves an half-breed. Only been here 1,000 years, mate. You need to button up. And they're still mad at me for the death of Harold Godwinson. Yet Zara Sultan has been here 5 minutes and is already calling for us to abolish the monarchy. I mean, it's like me being born in Japan and saying, hey, fellow Japs, let's abolish the emperor, come on! But to rub salt in the wound, it's not only that we have to take lectures on a daily basis about how we don't belong in our own countries, which are now apparently multicultural utopias, it's that the states that we live under do their utmost to cover the tracks of what a dystopia these multicultural utopias have really become. I mean, after decades of denial and being forced to admit that there really are grooming gangs and then being forced to do an inquiry into said grooming gangs, they can't even put it together because the witnesses keep quitting and nobody's there to chair it because everybody can tell they're trying to fix the results so they can blame white British people. We also have to endure mass propaganda campaigns that attempt to convince the masses that the real problem with the youth today is young white lads watching edgy content online. However, when there's a real stabbing in a British school, it's completely ignored until they can't hide it anymore and it comes out that the real stabber was called something like Mohammed Umar Khan. So while I do believe that my approach of just leaving the yelling subversive leftists like Mehdi Hasan to it is best, it's probably only best in the short term really. And that's because we're seeing quite a big problem develop already. With the nature of modern media, which is fast moving and more about entertainment and outrage than actually learning anything, it means that the most fractious, truculent, difficult, argumentative personalities come to the very front and are pitted against each other to get good ratings. And this means that the real issues that we face are never truly addressed. I mean, how do you deal with people like Mehdi Hasan if they multiply, if there are more and more of them in the Western world taking the line that they're taking? They'll start a war. Now, I'm going to end this video with a bit of blue sky thinking, and I know this might be quite challenging, so do remember, I'm not committed to any of this, I'm not saying this is my ideology, I'm not saying this is what I'm angling for, it's just a thought that crossed my mind. So, many of you will know I believe that balkanization is inevitable in the future due to the just unlimited mass immigration into the Western world, how I think about cultures and traditions, they're very deep, they need their own roots and so on. This isn't going to work. Further to that, I think at this point, if you watch the channel, you'll know I believe that mass immigration isn't a political decision, it's a feature of the liberal system itself. You can't really eradicate it, it's certainly a feature of the neoliberal economic system. So this means to me that some form of balkanization is inevitable. But at what point could a potential people in Europe say, do you know what, we actually don't want this. We'd like to maintain this little corner where we don't have the mass immigration, where we maintain a little bit of what is Western culture. We wish you well, but you can go and have your multicultural utopia and you can have more and more, Pakistanis, Eritreans, whatever else you want, and I'm sure it will be wonderful for you. It will be so interesting to see which society would flourish in the long run. And it seems like a win-win because, the leftist liberal types can have, as I say, infinity Eritreans, Somalians, all the Mehdi Hassans. They can have their wonderful world. And better yet, all of the evil bigots, the people who actually value Western tradition and culture, won't even be there. So surely it would be Eden for them, would it not? And this makes me think as well, the other people that went the other way could say, look, we don't hate you, we wish you well, we can have economic exchange. And it would just be so interesting as a thought experiment alone to see which civilization would flourish. Anyway, as I say, just a little bit of blue sky thinking, nothing more. Something to dwell on when you're having your cup of tea, when you're having a break from the Mehdi Hassans of the world. Do let me know what you think down below. Do consider subscribing to the channel if you're new.